At worst case, let's say you think it's an animal. Why would you want to just kill an animal just to be killing an animal? You know what I mean? And it says that's just a heartless, cruel attitude to have even towards animals. And yet, this is not what we're talking. We're not talking about just an animal. We're talking about a very humanoid, intelligent being that's probably more advanced, more intelligent than we are.
Probably
obviously.
are. Yeah. And but the other risk is too, Samantha, right? You go out there and you shoot one. You don't know if they're going to have that one you shoot doesn't have its buddies all around, and then what's going to happen to you? So I mean, just even the thought about going out and wanting to kill one and off one just to try, it's stupid. As far as I'm concerned, they should be locked up.
Well, they don't appreciate, first of all, that they're assuming they're animals, but they're extremely organized. They have senses that they know you're coming like a mile before you're down the road. And so this is not the way. You can't, and then you're dealing with them with the possibility they have technology, even if it was provided to them by the ETs or by the littles and the little people. I mean, to augment their abilities and stuff. That says you don't know what you're dealing with. You have no clue these people doing this stuff because they're treading down a very dangerous path, one way or the other.
Yeah, now James, and we're getting a lot of chat going on Facebook, and James wants to know: do you think that Bigfoot, could be aliens from another planet, or are they just a undiscovered species of humanoid?
I'm going to just throw an opinion out there based on what I've been researching. And when you want to start talking about the origins of Bigfoot, you might as well throw the human race in that mix too. And I really feel that based on a lot of stuff from ancient texts, from different works, that the Bigfoots as well as us are a result of hybridization. And not necessarily from this planet either. So I'm going to just say, what's an alien? Someone that's been here a while? When do they become terrestrial? 10,000 years ago or 100,000 years ago, we were brought here from another planet. Does it still make us aliens to this planet?
You know what? People look at me like I'm crazy when I say this. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this like I say it all the time. The Finks, right? They, for years and years, scientists said, the wear marks in the back of the Sphinx was caused by the sand blowing against it. Recently, they came to the conclusion, no, it wasn't the sand, it was from an ocean. Now, if that's the case, that puts us before us, like maybe we were rebooted. Now, could we be the aliens ourselves on Earth? You know how fast we populate. So maybe we were brought down here as slave labor, while they were getting gold or getting resources from Earth, and we populated ourselves. Or are we a prison planet originally? Who knows? But, are we the aliens here ourselves? People have to realize we could be the aliens on our own planet.
Well, one thing's for sure. If you look at a couple of factors, then number one, that there had to have been a very, very advanced civilization that existed on this planet, and some disaster brought us right back to ground zero because of the complexities of the existing evidence of the stone structures that exist throughout the planet, the pyramids, how they were built, the extremely large stones that it would take a laser tool just to fit them in place. I mean, if you can't dismiss all this and say that a bunch of Egyptians got together and decided to roll some blocks on a bunch of logs and build all this stuff.
Well, hey, good answer.
It's not.
But you know what? I had a scientist on my show here recently. The whole point is, let's say you did take slave labor, right, to build the pyramids, and you had Corey 20 miles away from the desert, and you had to bring these big stones, cut and all that stuff to, 20 miles. Well, how many how many slaves per mile are you going to go, in the heat of the desert and all that stuff? They're going to die off. There wouldn't be enough of them to move those stones and to build, let alone how it was built. It had to be something way more advanced than what we even can conceive in our brains.
Oh yeah. I mean, you have to be convinced that that there was an advanced civilization. Something happened on our planet. Some disastrous thing happened, one way or the other, that brought us back to like next to nothing. We rebooted ourselves, what humans were left, and we get to this point. And then we're also dealing with an element of deception of the human race by giving us this convoluted, fabricated history of the human race as if there was no other people on this planet, and we just evolved from apes. And, the whole evolution thing that they threw out at us, like there was no other advanced civilization. We all started from, all these thousands of years, and now we're at this point. And at the height of our advanced civilization, we're the most advanced we've ever been on this planet for eternity, and it's bull.
I
It's
don't
just,
buy it.
I mean, and then of course you have the religious side of it, which of course talks about the two people, Adam and Eve, that spawned everything from that point forward, and only been here for 6,000 years, and then the truth lies somewhere in between. The truth of the matter is that the DNA can evolve, but someone had to create the DNA. The DNA, that someone had to create the computer in the first place to process the DNA. That's where creation comes in. Evolution is the evolving of the DNA's programming, and it's many, through eons of time.
Well,
so that's where I come from, in my belief system.
Well, that's, it opens us up. I mean, there's still so much on this planet yet that we haven't discovered. It isn't a week, it doesn't go by, they find some type of creature out of the ocean that they never thought could exist. Well, existed.
Well, at least the things that we know about. I'm sure there's a lot of things that have been discovered to get locked away because it's knowledge they don't want us to have.
Oh, yeah, but, let's say you're out tripping out in the woods somewhere. The average person, are you going to be looking for, little people, or are you going to be looking for Bigfoot? No, you're if anything, you're keeping your eyes out for bear, coyotes, mountain lions, cougars, depending on where you live. And that's what people think about when they go out in the woods. Are they going to be looking down at something 6 inches that, out hid in the bushes? They're not going to see it because they're not even looking for it. And guess what? Most people don't even think about it. Just like the giants, they have proof that giants existed and walked the earth. And what did we do? The humanoids, they killed them off because they were different, and that tells me that maybe there is still some species of creatures that are, 5 inches, 6 inches, 2 feet, 3 feet tall, still existing out there. And maybe, again, like I said, maybe they're going through portals. Maybe they're going through time dimensions. Maybe they're going from another universe. I don't know. But, when I look at your pictures in there, that convinces me you're getting something. And there's certainly, you can really, distinguish. I have taken some of your images with my computer and with software and blew them up and enhanced them myself, and they're definitely pictures of something, and it's not pictures of branches like some people do with Bigfoot. These things look humanoid, and you can see their face features, you can see some of their body parts. So I all I can say is there's something there that I don't know what they are.
Yeah, and I'm doing the enhancements for the benefit of the people, like your listeners and stuff, because I've finally developed, and I really need to say this because this is important.
Go ahead.
I have discovered that the psychology of the average human, because the way we're conditioned to process images and associate with something we already know, okay? We're not told to actually be open-minded to think that it could be anything other than something we're told that already exists. Hence, if you see a Bigfoot, your mind's going to tell you it's a bear, because you don't have no point of reference. So there's some really things that just because your eyes see something, your mind has to process and make those determinations. And I noticed that when I started studying these pictures intently, my mind started opening up more and more to the possibility of whatever I was seeing. And my mind was building new image associations that allowed me to connect easily when I was looking at the pictures to get past, for instance, dark lines or hazy lines that don't give me a solid reference to something I've seen before. So it's almost like a discipline. I can actually look at an image like images I took today. I'd have to enhance them to allow someone to kind of see what I'm seeing, but I don't even have to enhance. I could actually look into the darkness, and I could see the humans. I could see the little people. I mean, I'm looking at the picture. I could see the expression. Like today, when I was up at the trail and talking to them, there were a lot of them looking down at me. They're very human-looking beings, and some of them were not littles. They were about 6, 7 foot tall, and they weren't necessarily Sasquatch, but they were kind of human, like maybe alien beings looking down at me. And I know that they're observing me all the time here. That's one thing. And I'm not trying to act like a paranoid schizo or something like that, but I am aware, based on pictures and about things that I've seen and interactions that have taken place here, that I am being comfortably observed by them and probably our group in general.
Well, it's no
because
more. Well, it's no more
yeah.
than you know, out of your curiosity. When you discovered them, you were curious what they were, so you kept going back and trying to find more information.
Oh, they noticed that. They noticed that. They know that I'm acknowledging them. First of all, that's the big difference. I go out in the woods, I say, I know you're there. I acknowledge you. That's raising the curiosity to continue to try to observe us to see how much we're going to learn about them.
Well, they're probably doing the same thing with you. And have you ever thought how far? And again, we don't know where you live, and that's the safe thing for you. But how far away is from that trail to your cabin?
Oh, quarter mile.
Do you ever think maybe they ever follow you and watch you in your cabin, coming and going and doing things around it?
Oh, they have numerous times. They've left things in my yard that was more than bizarre.
Like what? What type of things would they leave, Samantha?
Well, like in the middle of the night, and I know it wasn't there at nightfall, and nobody had any reason to do it, as I was building a greenhouse, and so I was using the wood and everything. And I guess that they collected together scraps of this wood, and it wasn't from my property or anybody else's. I come up, woke up in the morning, the pine tree had very laid out all around, in a pattern, laid out 2x4s, like pieces of 2x4s that had been cut from some project, and I don't know where it came from, but it happened in the middle of the night.
That's interesting. Do you ever hear any noises from them at all, or banging or anything? I mean, being that small, our hearing isn't that great. We think we have great hearing, but we don't. I mean, let's face it.
Well, they'll cry out. Matter of fact, I had a couple of psychics come here, and they felt the energy. And as they were walking, I looked out in the woods. I said, they're out there. And all of a sudden, when I said that, then they started howling at them and calling them, like the typical howls. And then they were so thrown back by that. Then they howled back at them, and they did that back and forth for about 3 minutes. And then they stopped at the moment they left.
Interesting. Now, has the psychics ever got a feeling like where they came from, what they're doing? Any weird vibes at all that these psychics have gotten?
Well, that's an interesting take as far as trying to get some information that way. The reason I am associated with that, too, because I also work on some psychic ability myself that I've had. And so I'm associated with their group. And I also do, that's where I do a lot of my presentations on the little people and the cryptids and quantum realities and things for this particular group that in Washington. It's a psychic group. And so they tie all this stuff together, But they're in awe about this stuff. It opens up a whole new realm for them, Because I do feel that they have the ability, these cryptids, I use the cryptid term to indicate, a combination the Bigfoots and the Little People or whoever, whatever else in between. They all have this very telepathic, psychic ability.